a bad, I don't know.
Your daughter is hungry.
My daughter is hungry. My daughter has eaten more this morning than she has eaten in
She's growing.
probably 6 weeks in the morning.
She's growing.
You about to hit a growth spurt?
Yeah.
You should need to stop because we've just bought you clothes.
Well.
We even tried not feeding them. It didn't work.
Oh.
All they did was yell and holler. Everybody smile for me real quick. Smile real big. Thank you, Brother Alonzo, for filling in for me. I lost my voice. It was gone completely. It was. You don't believe me? Ask Elijah. Don't I lose my voice after I sing like 2 songs?
Yep.
It's gone.
I didn't know you ever had a voice.
I got witnesses. Justin, shut up. Nobody asked you for your Nobody asked you for nothing. Couple of announcements I want to touch on real quick before we get started, before we dive into this, is connection cards have changed up a little bit.
See that?
They got a little bit bigger. It's okay. That's for those of y'all who are having, who are starting to play the trombone. I don't have any of those in here, do I? No. Well, if you're starting to play the trombone, you're too young, man. Don't even go there. So I've got on there. Take a look at it. Spend some time on it. Circle, check the things that need to be checked. Circle the things that need to be checked. I've got on here a spiritual challenge each week, which is something that we used to do a while back, and we have stopped doing because I was an idiot and I made the connection card too small to include it on there. But it's something that really made Pastor Monica and myself feel like we were connecting with you guys. And what I want you to do is on here, I want you to pick one of those spiritual challenges, and I want you to make a commitment to do that for a week. So we've got on here, pray with a stranger. It doesn't say a stranger every day, just pray with a stranger. Just find somebody, hey, I would like to pray with you. Can I pray with you? If they tell you no, don't force the issue. Just say, okay, and walk away. If they say yes, they're also weird. It's okay. Just pray with them. Okay? Nothing too spooky, nothing too spiritual about that. Prayer is simple. Here's what I have learned over the years in ministry. Those individuals who will not pray publicly have a difficult time praying privately. Our public prayer life is simply an external expression of what is taking place internally whenever we pray. So, one of the best ways to improve your private prayer life is to improve your public prayer life. If you'll improve your public, it'll improve your private. You improve your private, it'll improve your public. See how it works? Get it? Got it? Good? We all on the same page? Y'all got real quiet all of a sudden.
Listening to you.
I need my church back. I don't know where my church went. Y'all okay?
You told me I was too sassy.
I told you were too sassy. You are always too sassy. It's okay. Create a budget. Create a budget. Did y'all know that's a spiritual thing? It is not just a physical thing. It is a spiritual thing. We are supposed to be able to keep track of every dime that we spend. Y'all know that? As a Christ follower, one of the things that we're supposed to practice is self-control. Self-control also spills into our finances. If you don't know where every penny that you have is going, there's an issue that needs to be addressed. Amen? Amen. So create a budget. If you need help with that, let me know. We have resources here that can help you with that. Okay? Those of y'all that are looking at me cross-eyed at the moment, I have not forgotten you. We're getting with you. I promise you. Tuesday night is my last night working at Continental.
Yay.
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 Two people are on your side.
Now I feel better. Thank you. There's my church. So, create a budget. Another one is fast for 24 hours. Not only is a fast spiritually beneficial, it is also physically beneficial, guys. An unbelievable amount of things happen in your body whenever you fast. And if you can fast for 24 hours, it does some beautiful things to your immune system. It does some beautiful things to your metabolic system, as well as take the time that you would have been eating and spend it in prayer. And it'll do some incredible things for your prayer life as well. Okay? And when I say fast, I'm not one of these guys that do the wimpy fast of I'm not going to fast, I'm not going to eat breakfast today kind of thing, or I'm not going to eat tacos today, or I'm not going to drink Pepsi today. Whenever I say fast, I'm talking fast as in no food. All you get is water for the day. Okay? That's what I'm talking about.
That's easy.
All right? Is it?
Yeah, I go 2 or 3 days without eating hard.
Courtney says, you're a lie. I told you, don't ask her to back you up on that one. Don't ask her to back you up on that one. She will not tell a lie. Another one there is to pray for 30 minutes daily. Set 30 minutes aside out of your day. Spend it in prayer. Spend some time talking with God. You'll be amazed at what takes place in your private life if you will commit to 30 minutes a day praying. There are a lot of individuals who say, I can't pray for 30 minutes. Okay, start with 5. Start somewhere. Start with 5. If you need some help learning how to pray, because prayer is a discipline, prayer is also something that is learned. I don't get saved and immediately know how to pray these eloquent, long prayers for 3 hours. Okay? I give my life to Christ. I commit my life to Christ. I then must work on improving my prayer life. Okay? That takes work. It takes time. There are some systems that are out there. There are some resources that are out there that can help you. One quick one, grab a notebook. Write down a list of things that you want to pray for. Write down the people in your life that you want to pray for. Write down what you want to pray about, what you would like to see accomplished in their life. And then spend 2 or 3 minutes on each one of those things. Okay? Got it? Awesome. Awesome. Also, last announcement that I have to make before we go on. For those that have been wondering, we were supposed to get the air conditioner system for the kids' church was supposed to be in here on Wednesday. It didn't make it. It was supposed to be here on Thursday. It didn't make it. They have promised me, the shipper promised me yesterday that it will be here tomorrow. So our goal is to get that installed. If it's not here tomorrow, me and Jesus are going to have a heart-to-heart because I might need a whole lot more of Jesus in me if I call the shipper tomorrow. But it's supposed to be here tomorrow, and we're gonna plan on getting it installed this week so that our kids can have their room back. Does that make y'all happy? Make y'all happy? Oh, she tells me all the time, Daddy, you preach too long and you're boring. Oh, don't even go with the slow clap. Don't even go with the slow clap, child. You'll pay for that one later.
It'll have to be after I leave.
She takes after her mama. It's okay. Smart stuff. I'll pay for that one later. It's all good. Jesus still loves me. Amen? That's to talk about because I am seriously doubting it right now. This morning, I want to touch a little bit more on 2 Timothy. I was talking to Pastor Monica last night because this passage, when I was looking at it at the beginning of the month, actually I was looking at it at the beginning of August as I started preparing for this month, I told myself that, you know what, it's 5 weeks in September, we'll hit it hard, and we'll be done with 2 Timothy at the end of September. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Alan, can you cut that fan off for me, please? So what we're going to end up doing, because I've already started preparing our series for October, which our series in October, starting October the 7th, when we go to one service, which starts at what time?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. See, y'all are smart people. I don't care what churches down the street say about us. But we're starting at 10 o'clock, and in October I'm starting a series called I Am Veritas. And in it, we're going to spend about 6 weeks going over the values that we believe make us who we are. And we're going to spend a week on each one of those values. So what we're probably going to do is in January sometime or February, we'll come back to 2 Timothy, pick it back up, and try to finish it out. Because there is so much in this letter. If you think about it for just a second, if you were about to write a letter to someone and it was the last letter that you were going to write, what would you put in it? What else? What else would you pour into it? When we look at this letter and we begin to unpack this letter has so much in it that the Apostle Paul was trying to get out of Timothy. Just about regular life stuff, about how to treat people, about how to interact with people, about how to maintain his faith. It's got so many leadership principles inside of it that it is insane. And it's the leadership principle or aspect of it we haven't even touched on over the past 3 weeks. So what we're going to be doing this week and next week is trying to wrap this up as far as maintaining our faith and how that works into it. Maybe in January, February, we'll come back to the leadership aspect. But when we take a look at the passage of Scripture that this entire series is based on, which is found in chapter 4, from already being poured out as a drink offering, the time of my departure has come, I fought the good fight, I finished the race, I've kept the faith. When we look at this, the fact that Paul has poured his heart into it, and he's told him, hey, I'm getting ready to die. I'm getting ready to die. I'm getting ready to be martyred. I'm getting ready. This is it. This is the last letter that I'm writing to you. I think that if all of us were to pause for just a second and look at our life, there are times in our life where we have felt like this is it. I can't take it anymore. I don't know what to do. As a matter of fact, I don't trust God. I don't know what to believe. I just, how many of y'all have ever been at that point where you just can't take much more? One more thing that's going to be it. Like, I cannot have one more thing happen, because if it happens, I'm going to lose my sanity. Not only am I going to lose my faith, I'm going to lose my sanity. And Paul, in writing to Timothy, he deals a lot with how to maintain your faith prior to any kind of a circumstance hitting you. But what do we do when we're in the midst of turmoil? What do we do when we're in the midst of struggle? What do we do when we're in the middle of our world falling apart around us? What do we do when I don't trust God? What do we do when I really can't take one more thing?
Great stuff.
And the Apostle Paul, in his letter, if we take a look at verses 14 through 18 of chapter 2, grab your Bibles, follow along with me. He says this. He says, remind them of these things, charging them before God, not to fight about words. This is in no way profitable and leads to the ruin of the hearers. Be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who doesn't need to be ashamed, correctly teaching the word of truth. But avoid irreverent, empty speech, for this will produce an even greater measure of godlessness, and their word will spread like gangrene. Hymenaeus and Philetus are among them. They have deviated from the truth, saying that the resurrection has already taken place and are overturning the faith of some. The Apostle Paul lays out in a very direct, hard-hitting, let's go straight to the issue kind of a thing here. And if you just read the passage of Scripture, if you just read it from top to bottom and just read through it, you're going to miss 3 very, very important points. 3 crucial things that we as believers should be practicing and implementing in our faith in the midst of a storm, in the midst of an issue, when my world is really, truly turned upside down. The 3 things that we should be focusing on and zeroing in on. He lays it out so blatant that he even names names. Like, these guys don't have anything to do with them. And it's a little bit weird if you don't know what's going on. For the Apostle Paul, who is all about grace and all about love and all about mercy, for him to talk about 2 guys and say, hey, those 2 guys don't have anything to do with them. It's a little bit awkward. But what we end up seeing is this first guy, Hymenaeus, is actually mentioned in 1 Timothy, in which Paul tells Timothy, I've kicked him out of the church. Don't even eat with him, don't talk with him, don't hang out with him, nothing. And the reason being for that is it's weird. It's not like it is today. Okay? It's not like it is today. Back during that time, the church really truly was a small family type feel. It was a very large family, but it had that small family type feel. It was all that anybody had. During this time, a lot of the individuals who were coming to Christ were Jews. They were of the Jewish faith. And when they come to Christ, what would happen is they would lose their family, they would lose their synagogues, they would lose their jobs, they would basically get cast out of those things that they knew. And the only people they had was the church. That was it. This is why they lived together, they ate together, they did life together. That was it. That's all they had, that's all they knew. And so what the Apostle Paul had done at this point, because this guy, if you read back in 1 Timothy, he was causing issues. It was rebellion, it was craziness. And Paul had said, okay, enough is enough. You're causing way too much disruption within the family. I've kicked him out. I'm going to let Satan have his way with him. Is the words that Paul used. I'm going to let Satan have his way. What Paul was doing was Paul was trying to remove that support system that he had. He was trying to remove the support system this guy had so he would fall flat on his face and realize that the only real support that we have is God. It's Christ. How many of you know that sometimes the church can actually be one of our greatest hindrances to fully relying on Jesus Christ? Did y'all know that? When we have, you ever met those people who are constantly coming into your life looking for support, looking for encouragement, looking for help, looking for answers? Anybody ever met somebody like that? They've always got something that they need support and help and encouragement with. And we as a church, we tend to swoop in because we're being Christ-like. We swoop in, we help them out of a bind, we swoop in, we give them advice, we swoop in, we give them encouragement, we swoop in. And what ends up happening is they become codependent on the church instead of dependent on Christ. You realize that? The church actually helps to create the weakness that we see in Christians today. That's pretty harsh, isn't it? It's truth, though. It's true. So he's saying, I'm basically gonna rip the rug out from this guy. I want Satan just to completely destroy him. Satan's gonna completely destroy him. Hopefully he'll realize that Jesus is, and we have no idea what took place between 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy. Maybe he did realize he needed the church. Maybe he did realize he needed the fully, fall on Christ, and he had been welcomed back in, and maybe that's why he's being written about again. Don't know. But what we do know is that he's teaching, and what Paul is talking about, he's teaching is an idea that the resurrection has already happened. So this guy has a false teaching that he's spreading throughout the church that says, hey, everything's already taken place. Everything has already been fixed. Everything's already been decided. There is no more resurrection. So basically, you live your life the way you want to live it. You do what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, is what he was teaching. And we'll get into that a little bit more detail next week, but that's basically what he's saying to the church at that time. And Paul's like, no. What he's teaching is wrong. He's teaching it, he's wrong. So Paul gives like 3 points on how we can maintain our faith while we're in the middle of an issue. And that first one is this. First, stay out of debates. Stay out of debates. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 14. Let's look at it again. He says, remind them of these things, charging them before God, not to fight about words. This is in no way profitable and leads to the ruin of hearers. When I am going through something, when I'm experiencing an issue, when I am experiencing difficulty in my life, I have a very hard time of listening to advice sometimes. Anybody else? When you're experiencing some of these things, and when you're walking through life and you're having some issues and some troubles, you sometimes you just don't want to listen to other people. Like, I'm going to live my life, I'm going to do my thing, how I want to do, when I want to do, what I want to do. That kind of thing. Anybody? And have you ever experienced when somebody comes to you and they try to approach you about this kind of a thing? We really, in all honesty, we start to nitpick words and terminology, and we debate very quickly on why I'm right and you're wrong, or why I'm okay doing what I'm doing and you're not. None of y'all, I'm sure, have ever done that. It's always the other person, right? Yes, the other people who do that in life. It's never any of y'all. So what Paul is saying here is saying, look, stay out of debates. Don't even try to justify yourself. Don't try to justify yourself, and don't give that person an opportunity to justify themselves. Because the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to get into a debate, and in the heat of that debate, I'm going to offend you to such an extent that it's going to feel irreparable. As though there's nothing that can fix it. Anybody ever experienced that before? You get into a debate or a discussion or a really heated argument with somebody, and they say something or you say something, and you realize the moment that it's said, there is no coming back from this. You might have started the conversation off with great intentions. You might have started the conversation off with, this is what's going to fix this relationship. This is going to be the defining moment that's going to help it, and we're going to come out of this on the other side, and we're going to be so much stronger than what we went in. Anybody ever had those moments? And then in the middle of the conversation, it got heated, and you said something, or they said something, and you just, that was it. And the relationship still hasn't been repaired to this day? Or it took a long time? Anybody? Why? Listen, just don't debate them. Just don't debate. Don't discuss it. Don't argue about words. Don't argue about terminology. Don't argue about doctrine. Don't argue about theology. Leave it alone. When you are in the middle of a crisis of your faith, when you are in the middle of the world is just turned upside down, the last thing you need to find yourself in is a heated discussion. What you need to find yourself in is in prayer. What you need to find yourself in is in some solitude with Christ. Not discussing the merits of how I feel or how they feel or what's going on in their life or what's going on in my life. There's a time and a place for that. But in the middle of an issue, when I really don't know how I'm going to handle this, the last thing I need to find myself in is a debate. The last thing you need to find yourself in is in a debate. Because what will end up taking place is you will suffer even more. That sucks, doesn't it? But unfortunately, it's a part of life. It's the way it works. So we stay out of debates. When I'm in the middle of that issue, I stay out of debates. Next, I have to carefully weigh my actions and my thoughts. I have to carefully weigh my actions and my thoughts. Verse 15 says, be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who doesn't need to be ashamed, correctly teaching the word of truth. Carefully weigh my actions and my thoughts. Be diligent to present yourself to God. When I am in the midst of my world being turned upside down, when I am in the middle of life just, I don't know, up from down or left from right, how many of you know that when you're in the middle of those kind of situations or those kind of circumstances, that way too often you can make choices and you can make decisions and you can take actions that are detrimental to your future?
Yep.
Not only can you make choices that are detrimental to your future, you can make choices that are detrimental to your faith. Because you can do something or you can say something and you can actually feel, because of the guilt and the shame from what you've just done or accomplished, you can actually feel like there is no coming back from it. So we have to carefully weigh all of our actions and all of our thoughts, because an action always starts as a thought. It always starts as a thought. Okay? And I've heard some people say, oh, no. I just acted out of instinct, or I acted out of impulse. No, you did not. No, you did not. All of your actions start first as a thought. Now, you may not have trained yourself or matured enough to stop those thoughts from becoming an action quick enough. So it feels like the action was on impulse. That's why one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. As a Christ follower, I'm never supposed to act on impulse. I'm never supposed to act out of instinct. As a Christ follower, I'm supposed to weigh my thoughts and weigh my actions and determine, okay, is this Christ-like or is this not Christ-like? He says to be diligent and present yourself approved to God, a worker who doesn't need to be ashamed, correctly teaching the word of truth. You realize that I teach and I proclaim the gospel by more than just the words that I speak. Right? I teach and I proclaim the gospel also by the actions that I perform, by the life that I live. That is also one of the ways that I teach the gospel. My life is an example of the gospel, or at least it should be. So we weigh our thoughts, we weigh our actions, because I don't want to say something or do something in the middle of this issue that's going to be detrimental to me. That's going to be detrimental to the people that I love. Because how many of you realize that your actions never affect only you? Every action that you take affects yourself and those that are closest to you. Always has and always will. There is no way around it. We take a look at that last thing that he says is basically, hey, do your best. Okay, present yourself to God as what? He says, present yourself to God. Approved. Okay, a worker, not to be ashamed. Broken into basic English, do your best. Do your best. Now, your best might not be my best. My best might not be your best. All of us are playing, all of us are on this walk and on this journey at different places, right? Right? So what's your best might not be mine. And what's my best might not be yours. I'm not, as long as you're doing your best and you can honestly tell me that you're doing your best, that key word there was honestly. Okay? If you can honestly tell me that you're doing your best, I'm going to celebrate with you. Even when you mess up. Why? Because we're all doing this together. Right? I'm not any better than you are. You're not any better than I am. We all go through issues. We all go through storms. We all have those seasons in our life where it feels like everything is just turning upside down. And I can remember what some of mine are. And if you're going through it, the last thing you need is for somebody to kick you while you're down. The last thing you need is for somebody to tell you that you're a failure simply because you're having a difficult time. Right? So do your best. Romans chapter 12, verse 1, it actually says, I appeal to you therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. I worship God by more than just simply singing in here on a Sunday morning. My entire life is worship. How you wake up in the morning. How you go through your day. How you greet people at the breakfast table. How you interact with your spouse. How you interact with your children. These are all acts of worship. And I am presenting this relationship to God as an act of worship, okay? If I take my interaction with my children and I say, okay, God, I'm going to worship you and I'm going to do my best to present my life as a sacrifice. The way I interact with my children on a day-to-day basis, that's being presented to God. And I have to carefully weigh my thoughts and my actions. Okay, God, is this pleasing to you or is it not pleasing to you? Is the way that I'm living, is it acceptable as a sacrifice, or is there still some things that I need to work on? And don't misunderstand me. I don't do this to earn His love. I don't do this to earn His favor. We should be doing this to express our love. And let's just be honest, a lot of Christians, if they're honest with themselves, they just don't love Jesus. We realize that, right? When we stop and pause and we carefully weigh our thoughts and our actions, do we truly love Him? Because if we truly love Him, then we look at our life and we say, okay, how can I present this to you in a way that expresses my love for you? I'm not trying to earn anything. I'm trying to express what I feel. And each of us, that's a little different. Right? The church for so many years has tried to make it all about, it's got to be done this way, or it's got to be done that way, or it's got to be done, specific ways. But let's just be honest. God didn't create robots. Okay? He didn't create robots. Now, if you look at your relationship, for those of you who are married, if you look at your relationship with your spouse, can you honestly say, I'm doing my best, and God, I present this to you. This is your relationship with your spouse an offering that you are overjoyed to give to God? Or are there still some things that you want to work on? Maybe there's some internal things that you want to work on. For my parents, the way you treat your kids, the way you talk to them, the way you talk with them. There's a difference between talking at my kids and talking with my kids. Okay? Way too many parents talk at their kids instead of with their kids. But if I'm building a relationship with my kids, and I present it to God, is it something that I am proud to present to Him and say, hey, I love you, and so I've done this. I love you, so I live like this. Or are there things that we have to really pause and say, okay, I got to work on that for a minute. It's okay. All of us are at different places in this journey. But are you doing your best? And your best can improve over time. Your best today needs to be less than your best tomorrow, which needs to be less than your best next week. Your best needs to improve. And as your best improves, your relationship with Christ will improve right along with it. But carefully weigh all of your thoughts and all of your actions. Is this my best? Because I'm giving it to you. That last thing that he says is, hey, guard your conversations and limit the influences in your life. Limit the influences in your life. Let's take a look at verse 16 again. He says, but avoid irreverent, empty speech, for this will produce an even greater measure of godlessness. When you're going through issues in life, when you're going through a crisis of faith, you have to be very careful who is influencing you in life. You have to be very careful the people that you hang out with. You have to be very careful the voices that you are giving an ear to and listening to. Parents, let me tell you something really quick. If your child is going through a crisis of faith, or if they're going through a difficult time, you need to look at who their friends are. Because you can teach them everything that you know about pursuing Christ. You can teach them until you have nothing left to teach. But if they're spending more time with their friends than they are with you, you will lose that battle. You will lose that battle. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you are having difficulty within your marriage, and you're spending more time with people who think it's okay to get divorced than people who think that you need to work on your marriage, you'll get a divorce. Why? 1 Corinthians 15:33. Very plain and simple. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Who is influencing you in your life? Who is influencing you? I cannot count the amount of Christians that when they're going through something, they remove the godly influences and they grasp on to influences that make them feel good. They grab on to influences that tell them what they want to hear. They seem to grab on to the toxicity around them. Because the toxicity, there's a high to it. There's an emotional high that is associated with toxicity. You ever realize that? You get around some people, and while you're around them, you feel phenomenal. You feel great. You're joking about stuff that you would never joke about. You're saying things that you would never say. You're doing things that you would never do. And the moment they walk away, you feel like crap. Maybe it's just me. We have to be careful who we allow to influence us when we're going through those crises in our lives. Listen to me very carefully. It is okay to kick some people out of your life. It is okay to separate people from you. It is okay to realize that, hey, that person is toxic and I need to love you from back here. And for different people, it might be different. I mean, who knows who it is in your life? Maybe it's a coworker that you need to say, listen, and don't be scared to offend them. Don't be scared to say, you and I can't be together. You and I can't hang out. You and I can't talk. As a matter of fact, if you see me coming, you turn around and walk the other way. And if I see you coming, I'll turn around and walk the other way. Don't love them at the expense of losing your faith. Don't love them at the expense of you being hurt worse simply because you're trying to be Jesus. Be Jesus. Love them from a distance for a minute. Even Jesus has something to say about dogs and swine. And if you read the passage, he's comparing them to people. He's calling the people dogs and the people swine. Why? Because he even understood there are people who are toxic in your life. Who is influencing you? Who is influencing you that should not be influencing you? Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's a brother. Maybe it's a sister. Maybe it's another Christian. Sometimes Christians are some of the worst influences. Y'all ever notice that there's a whole lot of Christians that are nothing but doom and gloom? Y'all ever met them? Doom and gloom and woe is me and I can't wait till Jesus comes back so I can get out of here. Make me sick. Jesus said, I've come to give you life and life more abundantly. He didn't say I came to save you so you can sit around and whine until I come back. So who's influencing you? Sometimes we have to remove even people who used to be a benefit. That's okay. We love them from a distance. I love you here while you're over there. If you come any closer, not going to be good. I've got a friend of mine, I grew up with him. Great guy. He is a fantastic guy. I love him to death. I celebrate all of his victories and I grieve every one of his failures. He's getting ready to have another kid, and when he does, I will celebrate that. But anytime he says, hey, we need to get together, no, we don't. I love you, but no, we don't. He's like, come on, man. No, I'm going to love you from right here. Why? Well, because you're Calvinist, and the moment we get together, we're going to fight. We're going to debate, we're going to argue, I'm going to say stuff, you're going to say stuff, and it's not going to be good. I know it. So why don't we just go through and celebrate life as it happens with each other and not get caught up in a debate over something that I'm not going to change your mind on and you're not going to change my mind on. Let me just love you from over here. Some of you have people that you need to hear, and that's okay. Just love them. Pray for them. Pray for them. Because prayer is one of the most loving things you can do for an individual. And if you love me, you come hang out with me. No, I love you, which is why I'm not going to come hang out with you. I love you, which is why I'm not going to come over. I'm not coming home for Thanksgiving because I love y'all. Okay? Sometimes it can be your own mother.
That's right.
Sometimes it can be your grandparent. Okay? It's okay. Carefully weigh your thoughts and actions. Look at who's influencing you and say to yourself, okay, where do I need to go from here? Where do I need to go from here? Life is seasonal. Even our spiritual life, our spiritual walk is seasonal. We're going to go through spiritual highs and we're going to go through spiritual lows. It is a part of life. When you're going through a high, make sure that you take advantage of it and you invest in that high as much as you can. But when you hit a low, pause for a second. Don't get caught up or lost in the low. Because when you get caught up in the fact that you can't hear God or you can't feel God or you're not as close to God as you used to be, you set yourself up for bigger failures. You see, our spiritual life is seasonal because it's because of seasons that we can mature. If everything was always a high, I would never know how to handle a low. And if everything was always a low, I would never get the refreshing that I needed to handle life. Without the highs and the lows, I don't grow up. I don't mature. So when I'm facing that low, I stay out of debates. No arguing. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to try to prove your point, and I'm not going to try to prove my point. Because sometimes when I'm going through something, I don't need to prove myself, and you don't need to prove yourself. What I need you to do is to grab my hand, and let's just pray together. What I need you to do is I need you just to shut up for just a second. Stop telling me what I've done wrong and just love me. Sometimes you need to shut up and stop asking for love and focus on the love that's already in your life. You realize that? For some of us, that love that God's already invested in us, we've taken advantage of it and abused it, misused it, and it's grown stale, and so we're wanting something new and fresh all the time. Sometimes we got to return to that first love, to those people that are always there. Not the ones who come in on a high, but the ones that have been there through the lows. They'll say, hey, I just need you to hang out with me for a minute. Don't give me some great spiritual insight, because you're probably going to miss it. Let's just chill for a second. Then I need to look at my actions and my thought process and say, okay, because sometimes my lows are because of something I've been thinking. Sometimes my lows are because of something that I've been doing. So I'm going to carefully weigh it. Okay. And if I can't find anything in my life that I'm not doing my best at, if I'm doing my best at everything, it's not me, it's just seasonal, man. It's just that season. It'll be over. Right? It'll be over. It's just seasonal. Settle in. It's okay. But if it is something that I can adjust it. Right? Adjust it. And then realize that you didn't dig that hole in a day. You're not going to get out of that hole in a day. It's going to take some time. But I'm going to make sure that while I'm getting out of that hole, I don't over top of me, throwing dirt in on me. So I want to look and see who's influencing me. I want you to do me a favor, grab your connection card. And the question that I have for you is very simple. It's a yes or no question. If you don't have a connection card, raise your hand, we'll get you one. I want you to answer this question for me. It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no. Are you doing your best? Are you doing your best? Yes or no? And be honest. Don't, well, I think I am. No, just be honest. Are you doing your best? If you aren't, let me encourage you. Carefully weigh your thoughts and your actions. If you need to, don't be ashamed. Ask Jesus to increase the love you have for him. If your answer is yes, let me encourage you. Carefully weigh your thoughts and your actions. Is there anything else that you could be doing? Or maybe you've allowed an influence into your life that you need to remove from your life. Or maybe you've removed some influences out of your life that you need to add back to it. Where are we at? And what are we doing? It's a simple yes or no. And what I want to do for just the next couple of minutes is I want to ask Pastor Monica if she'll come up here. And I want to ask Pastor Gerald if he'll come up here. Shall we just Minister Alonzo, Minister Mel, if y'all will come up here. And what I want to do, and we don't do this very often, but what I want to do is I want to take a moment. And if your answer was no, I'm not doing my best, and you want somebody just to take a minute and encourage you and pray with you, I want to take a couple of minutes and I want you to come up here. I want you to find one of these guys and I want you to give them an opportunity to pray with you, to speak into your life, to encourage you. If your answer was no. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to start this song. And while this song plays, please be respectful of anybody who's coming up here. No talking for a little while, no walking around, no, just spend some time with the Holy Spirit. Carefully weigh your thoughts and your actions. And if that answer is no, come up here and get somebody to encourage you and pray with you, okay? Let's take some time.